Okay, so I'm going to try and show you a little bit about how I go about my process in creating TTRPG content for my game PsychScape. Um, for the most part, what I'm doing is I have a custom GPT that allows me, I call it the PsychScape visualizer, that allows me to generate prompts that are in my style. And so I've created a style, and I've tweaked my MidJourney to kind of like mimic that style. Mainly it's like watercolor meets NC Wyeth meets John Pike meets John Sargent kind of a feel, right? And so I train my GPT on the historic aspects of the content that I'm working on by doing a deep research, and then I bring all that context in. I write the adventure, and then from the adventure, I start creating prompts. And then I take those prompts and I go into MidJourney, and obviously then I post my prompts in there. And so I'm working on trying to figure out a good cover image. And I'm having a difficult time getting exactly what we want. MidJourney doesn't like to do violence very well. It doesn't like to do weapons very well. It can every now and again, but it's very random. And you can see like this kind of thing. Like this would be really cool if the axe was in his hand, and I can Photoshop that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this one if I already haven't. I did, I already got it. And I put that into a source folder is what I call it. In the source folder, I'll talk about that in a second when I do some batch processing. And so anyways, I'm going to go through, and I've done, hundreds of iterations. I went through different versions of what I could possibly use. This one's kind of cool, but I really don't know what's going on here. I kind of like this one, but the sword turns into the hammer slash axe thing. So it just gets really weird. And then this is from the video I was creating, so I'm going to kind of step back in there. So I think I've got a couple options that I might like, and I won't know for sure or for certain until I see them on the cover. I really dig this one. It's super gory, and I think I dig that one, but we'll see if that plays on the cover art. So once I have those pieces, then I go and I put all that stuff into what I call a source folder. And so you can see here's my source folder, and my source folder right now has these images. I have another batch that I processed that's got over 100 of them, and I use these not only for the cover, but I could use these as interior art as well. So when they come out of MidJourney, or if they come out of GPT, they're not high enough resolution for print at the size that I need them. So I created a batch process in Photoshop that will take care of that. And so basically my batch process is pretty simple. If you've never done a batch process in Photoshop before, there's tons of tools out there to show you how to do it. People have them already built. I just built one. So automate batch, and I'll pull over my window here. And there's a bunch of default actions in here, and basically I did an upres to 300 DPI. So all I'm doing is an upres, and what a batch process does, if you're not familiar with it, is it just automates a task. And so you record yourself doing the task you want it to do, you turn that into a batch, and then it automatically does the task. It's a repetitive thing. My first job way back in 1997, 98 time, my first job, I batch processed over 10,000 images when they were converting from a physical magazine to a website. And so all the images had to be downsampled. And so I got really good. And I also turned a job that was supposed to be like 6 months worth of work into 2 weeks, basically, which was great for me. And then I moved on with my life. Anyways, so we're going to upres this, and then I have it going to a specific folder. So it's going to my desktop, where it says right here, desktop source. I have a source folder. That's where you put your low-res images. And then you have a destination folder, which I call the destination, right? Source and destination. That's what it is. Source, destination. You choose a destination. So this is where you put in the fresh stuff. this is where you get your up-res stuff. And then all you do is you hit OK if this is all set up properly, and it's going to process all of these images. So it's going to be a little bit slower since I'm recording a video and I'm not showing my full screen, but basically it opens up each image, it up-reses them, and then it saves it in the new spot. So you get to keep both. For a long time, I was archiving the stuff I'm bringing out of MidJourney into my Google Photos, but MidJourney keeps all your stuff. It's not as neatly organized, so some things I do, but anyways. So there's that bit, so that's done. So now I have a destination folder with the same images in it, and then these images are then, these images here are now higher resolution. So I'm going to go view, extra large icon, so now you can kind of see all of my images. I'll make this window fit like this. There we go. And so those are all the images I up-res that I might want to use for my cover art. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag them onto my cover art. So I'm going to minimize a few things so you can kind of see what's happening here. And let's get rid of the source folder. I don't need the source folder anymore. Destination. I'm going to pull off to the side. And so I've been working in a program called InDesign by Adobe, and this is what I do my page layout in. So what I did is I simply went and got a template from a template site that shows you, or that basically lays out a magazine that you buy, basically, and then you can repurpose it for your own purposes. So that's how I started. And that's how I got like the page numbering and all that kind of stuff that kind of is a technical work. And this template wasn't too bad, and I've modified it since then. I've made dozens of things now. The PsychScape historical, everything is basically built off of this template. And so now that I've got this kind of template in here, now what I can do is I can kind of test some of these images. And so I'm going to go with kind of the one that I think I want, and I'm going to drag that on here, and it replaces it. So that's looking really, really cool. I dig that whole vibe, but it's not going to fit based on my adventure, right? So I got his head is right there and in where my logo is, and I don't want to move this. I've moved this down a little bit. I like to keep the logo the same, so when you have the books on the shelf, they all kind of line up. But what I can do is I can go into this image and I can blow this up even more if I needed to. Oops, I stretched him out. I don't want to stretch him out. So I'm going to hold down Shift, make him bigger. And then we can see that's kind of cool, you know, something like that. But that doesn't really get me what I want. I have a feeling I'm going to have to screw around with it. With MidJourney, you can extend the top of the image. But yeah, so that's kind of the feel that I'm going for. I kind of dig that. I think, unfortunately, a lot of these images that I have are going to be kind of the same. Let's try this guy here. Oh, that's not too bad. That's a little better. And I get a little bit more wiggle room there. I kind of dig that one. You can kind of tell the bodies, and like it's kind of gruesome. Anyways, that's a cool one. This one is kind of neat. Again, his head is obscured. Again, the bodies are kind of there, but I kind of like that. I could easily extend the top of that. I could do that in Photoshop, or I could do that in MidJourney. I really dig that one where he's got the axe. So I'm going to play around with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that in Photoshop. Let's see if Photoshop will do it. Let's see. Open with... Oh, I wanted open. Open. There we go. It's probably because I'm recording everything. So I'm launching Photoshop now. And everything's a little bit slower because I'm recording. Come on, Photoshop. You can do it. My graphics card is probably freaking out. I only have the 3060 in this little laptop I've got, so the NVIDIA 3060, and so it's good. It's good for gaming. It's just when you start using these giant print files, it kind of gets weird. So I'm going to make this fit my window so y'all can see it. Alright, so Photoshop has AI tools built into it. Um, I'm not for certain, but I have a guess that it's MidJourney, but I'm not for certain where they're doing it. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I want to extend this image. So what I need to do is I need to go to the image and I need to change the image size of it, but I want the canvas size actually. So I want to bring it and make it taller, and I always get this backwards. And I want to make it taller. I want to make it, let's make it, so if its height is 5,600, let's make it another 2,600 tall. So let's do this. Let's do 12,000, I guess. Let's see what that does. That makes it way too tall. That was way too tall. Let's undo that. I'm gonna really screw this up because I always get my brain is always backwards on this. Let's see, but I did that the right way. There's a button. Let's make it 7,600. We'll just make it 2,000 bigger. All right, there we go. Cool. So now what I want to do is I want to expand that. So what I want to do is I want to take this here and I want to use the generative fill, and I want to, oh great, most standard generations cost one credit. They're going to start charging you for this too. I guess I got to make their money. Add more sky. So I'm just going to see if it'll do it and hit the generate button. And so now it's going to go through generation. I was making the video for this, which you can see on my YouTube channel and all over the place. And I ate through my MidJourney fast renders so quickly. This is cool. Yeah, I think this is giving me the general idea here. Look how quick that was. So now I'm going to click that again and see you get 3 options. I kind of like that. I kind of like the first one, kind of like really fits into it. I like this one though because it's got this cool cloud formation. So I think I'm going to go with that. All right, so now I got the dead bodies and I've got, okay, cool. I've got that piece. Now I'm going to save that. Let's see, save a copy, I guess. I'll save a copy. I'm going to call it cover something. The other thing that really sucks is that everything comes out of MidJourney named like this crazy ass name with kind of your first sentence of your prompt in it, and that really sucks because when you're going to certain web platforms, like for my blog, I have to change all the names to everything and to a different name, a shorter name, so that the blog will actually see it. It just kind of sucks. All right, so now that I've got that, now I'm going to go ahead and minimize Photoshop. Now I'm going to come back to this guy here, and I'm going to put this guy back where he was. All right, so now I have that new version with the longer top, and so I'm going to drag that guy in here, and so now we're cooking with gas. So now, where'd my tool palette go? Window, where's my tools? Where's my tools? Oh boy, my tools is here somewhere. I just don't know where they are. Anyways, so I'm going to click on this guy, and now I can bring this up. And since I extended the top of it, I get all of those pieces, and then I can bring him right up in there like that kind of a thing. So even with like the bodies kind of on the bottom here, and we're just kind of, I don't like to tangent it, but that's kind of cool. I kind of dig that cover. So then what I'm doing is I'm taking screenshots of all this stuff and kind of sharing it to see. But that's how I play around with and test out some of my covers and adjust them. I got another candidate here, which is kind of fun. This guy here, and since I adjusted the other one, it drops in. This one's at least kind of has got a fight. His axe is a little wonky, but that looks kind of cool too. So that's kind of a neat option as well that I'll play around with. Anyways, that's part of my process. I'm going to try and document some more of this as I go.